Hey, it's Africa Explored. Please subscribe and let's get into today's video. The silence was the worst part. For months, the half-finished skeleton of the Great Rift Connector lay baking under the equatorial sun. This was supposed to be a symbol of a new dawn, a $500 million steel artery pumping life across East Africa. Instead, it had become a monument to a broken promise. Dust gathered on imported rails. Weeds grew through piles of gravel. The ambitious project, designed to link the Tanzanian coast with the hinterlands of Burundi and Rwanda, was dead in the water. Thousands of jobs vanished overnight. The dream of seamless trade, of connecting farmers to markets and families to each other, seemed to be dissolving into the rust and decay that was slowly claiming the abandoned construction sites. To understand the heartbreak, you must first understand the hope. The Great Rift Connector was never just about moving cargo containers from point A to point B. It was about rewriting the economic map of an entire region. Picture this. A farmer in rural Burundi harvests a crop of high-quality coffee beans. To get them to the port of Dar es Salaam for export, her beans must travel on congested, often dilapidated roads. The journey is slow, expensive, and perilous. Trucks break down. Fuel costs soar. By the time the coffee reaches the ship, a huge portion of its value has been eaten up by logistics, shrinking the profit that makes its way back to her pocket. The withdrawal of Western funding felt like a rug being pulled from under the entire region. The consortium, a mix of European development banks and American investment funds, had been involved from the very beginning. They had funded the feasibility studies, praised the project's design, and publicly championed its transformative potential. Their involvement was seen as a stamp of approval, a sign that the Great Rift Connector was a sound, bankable project. African governments had spent years negotiating the complex financing packages, meeting stringent conditions on everything from environmental standards to governance protocols. They had done everything that was asked of them. Then, the mood shifted. Just as despair began to set in, a new set of engineers and surveyors appeared on the horizon. They didn't come from Europe or America, they came from China. While the West was pulling back, Beijing was stepping forward. A high-level delegation of Tanzanian and Burundian ministers flew to Beijing, not with a begging bowl, but with a fully formed, shovel-ready project plan. They found a receptive audience. Chinese state-owned banks and construction companies already deeply involved in infrastructure across Africa saw an opportunity where the West had seen only risk. They saw a strategic investment that aligned perfectly with their Belt and Road Initiative. The deal was struck with astonishing speed. When the first company left, my heart sank, says Joseph Mboya, a 45-year-old welder from Mwanza, Tanzania. He had been one of the first people hired when the project began. I have 3 children in school. That job was everything. For 6 months, there was nothing. I sold my wife's sewing machine just to buy food. When the Chinese company came and called us back to work, it was like a second chance at life. Now I can pay school fees again. I am learning new skills from them. They work very fast, but they are building our future, so we must work fast too. Joseph's story echoes across the construction corridor, a tale of despair turned into renewed hope. Not everyone shares the same unbridled optimism. Maria Nduwimana, who runs a small guest house near a construction camp in Burundi, has mixed feelings. Business is good, that is true, she admits, pouring a cup of tea. The Chinese engineers and managers stay here. They pay on time, but they are very separate. They bring their own food. They speak their own language. It is not like the Europeans who would come and sit in the local bars. The story of the Great Rift Connector is honestly a perfect case study in the contrasting approaches of Western and Chinese engagement in Africa. The Western model, shaped by institutions like the World Bank and the IMF, as well as by former colonial powers, has traditionally been cautious and conditional. It places heavy emphasis on good governance, human rights, environmental protection, and multi-stakeholder consultations. While these principles are noble, in practice they often translate into a slow, bureaucratic process that can take years to move from concept to reality. The withdrawal from the railway project, citing risk, is a classic example of this model's conservative nature. China's model, in contrast, is characterized by speed, scale, and state-level coordination. The completion of the Great Rift Connector will send economic shockwaves far beyond the immediate vicinity of the tracks. The most direct impact will be a dramatic reduction in transport costs and times. For landlocked Burundi and Rwanda, and even the eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of Congo, this is frankly a game changer. Suddenly, exporting their agricultural produce and mineral wealth becomes significantly more profitable. This, in turn, incentivizes investment in these sectors. International commodity traders and local entrepreneurs alike will see new opportunities, potentially leading to the modernization of farms and mines, and the creation of thousands of new jobs in the hinterland. This improved connectivity will also catalyze the growth of manufacturing and processing industries along the rail corridor. It's cheaper to transport finished goods than raw materials. With a reliable railway, it suddenly becomes viable to build a coffee processing plant in Burundi or a furniture factory in Tabora, Tanzania. This process of value addition is really the holy grail of development economics. The story of the Great Rift Connector is more than a tale of one railway. It is a powerful metaphor for the choices facing Africa today. It represents a continent at a crossroads, moving away from old dependencies and forging new partnerships on its own terms. The near collapse and subsequent revival of this $500 million project have laid bare the fundamental differences between traditional Western development models and China's assertive, infrastructure-driven approach. The episode has taught African leaders a valuable lesson in self-reliance and the importance of having multiple options on the global stage. It has accelerated a shift that was already underway. The future of Africa-China relations will be built on projects like this. It will be a relationship that is pragmatic, transactional, and focused on tangible outcomes. While the West continues to debate the best way to engage with Africa, China is building it. Ultimately, Africa's development path will be its own to choose. It will not be exclusively Western or exclusively Chinese. It will be uniquely African, taking the best from all possible partners to build the future its people deserve. As the first trains begin to roll down these rescued tracks, they will carry the hopes of a continent that is confidently and determinedly riding into a new dawn on a track of its own making.